And here we are. We are live. So, welcome to this very, very special stream and unboxing special. And we have a very special guest sitting just above me. We have Mr. Matt Letty. Hello, Matt.
Good evening, Stu. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. How are you doing? You keeping well?
Yeah. Yes, keeping busy.
Excellent.
Keeps me out of trouble, apparently.
Busy's good, especially in the current climate. Yeah, fantastic. So,
Yes.
we were obviously intending to do this on Sunday, but the technical gremlins got into the system and screwed things up a bit. Hopefully, anybody watching this can pop in the chat and let us know that you can hear us okay. Should, fingers crossed, I've sorted out what the issues are. But, do you know, I'm one of those people, I always panic just a little bit. But there we go. So we're doing a very special unboxing.
I had just had a quick nosy, and it's not
looping. Yay! Fantastic.
Not looping.
So you're on as the creator of the game that we're going to be unboxing. So the first thing I'm going to ask is, tell us about the
one
gaming
of
company.
two creators, actually.
Okay. Tell us.
Okay. So yeah. So it's company is Matthew and creatively this is called Matt, which would be me, and the other is called Michael. And this actually, where this game and the company itself came from was essentially one evening. Mike had a change in circumstances and phoned me up and said, "I've got a bit of free time. Do you want to make a game?" I've been thinking about this for a while. I looked at if I had time, what would I like to do list, and a board game seems like an interesting idea. And I was like, yeah, sure. I've been playing games for about, seriously, for about 15 to 20 years, and so it was a really nice matchup of he had a concept, and we kind of it was going to be just sort of for the two of us to kind of muck about with and say, you know, in X amount of years time, we did this thing, we got one or two printed, but didn't really, just something, and it sort of snowballed a little bit into this game on the square that went to Kickstarter and funded and has now been pretty well received and sold in about, I think we're up to 15 countries. It's very very strange, and a second game that's kind of going through, and we've done a couple of decks of playing cards and things. So it's it's been a bit of a ride.
Excellent. So it's not that, when you were at school, it's, I want to be a games designer or anything like that.
No. When I was at school, I wanted to be an architect, and that's actually what I do as a day job. I just seem to do this as well as a day job.
Excellent. Well, so before we get to the actual unboxing, do you want to give people the details of where they can find more information about your gaming company?
Yeah, so it's www.matthewandmichael.co.uk, and that's got sort of the shop, a bit more information about us. It's also got links to all of our social media, sort of the Facebook, the Twitters, the Instagrams type thing, which I will say I don't have a huge amount to do with. That is definitely Mike and Karen's kind of remit, and they are very, very good at it. So, but we've also got a Discord that anyone is welcome to come in. That's where we kind of set up our play tests and things for any new games coming up. And to be honest, if you order and you've got any questions at all, we're generally on hand to answer things there and there. We're quite happy to. People are playing. We want to help as much as possible.
Excellent. And when this video goes up on YouTube, I'll be putting links in the description to all of that. So let's have a look at the game itself. I mean, we've both got backgrounds associated with it. Yours, of course, is your promotional artwork for the game on the square. I'm in a Masonic temple because I thought that was appropriate.
Yes. Yes.
So here we are to the actual
it is
box in front of me.
Yeah.
So it's a Masonic game.
It is, as you sort of alluded to. It is, yes.
So the first thing I'm going to ask before we actually get into the box set, why a Masonic game?
So Mike is a Freemason, and this was his sort of first idea that he quite liked the idea of the story and everything that sort of goes on in sort of setting up a lodge up in sort of Manchester where he lives, and we thought it lent itself very interestingly to a sort of a processional type game, and it seemed like a very sort of interesting place to start. And as Mike had this sort of idea, and this was his sort of driving force, as this idea had been bouncing around his head for a little while, and so that's why we decided this was the first one. It's really interesting from my point of view with the kind of the Victoriana and that sort of thing, and it meant that we could really play with sort of lots of golds and bits and pieces, and it gave a really interesting sort of art sort of hook to the first thing we were presenting. It's a fascinating group, and it really lent itself to the type of game that we've produced. It's
excellent. So apologies to our viewers who may be getting a bit of a stuttering coming through. I've just realised my internet's going a bit funny, so I'm just transferring over to my 5G, which it should have been in the first place. But there we go. Hopefully that should resolve the matter fairly soon. But anyway, that to one side. So it's beautiful artwork in here. As an aside, I used to be a Freemason myself. Oh, hang on, we've lost something. Oh no. Bear with me, folks. Bear with me. We appear to have lost Zoom. So, do you know what, folks? I'm going to try this again. I'm just going to try with the Zoom. Hopefully we can get this resolved quite quickly. Get Matt back on the line. There we go. That's me back. And hopefully here's Matt. So Matt should be joining us any moment. Here's Matt back, who we should be able to hear in just a moment. I'm hoping. Any moment now. Yes, I think
hear you. Can you hear
oh,
me?
yes, I can hear you. Yes. Sorry about that. I don't know. There's something about this game. Gremlins. Did you have technical issues when you were setting it up at all?
Well, I think we had less technical issues setting up the game than we've had with this stream.
I do sincerely apologise for that. Goodness knows what's going on.
It's fine. You're sort of dropping in and out, and then you froze. So I don't know whether it's your end, my end, or both. But yes, I mean, we'd never done anything like this before. So the actual creating the game was really interesting, and wasn't that well. The first few games that we did of this, it was terrible, and that's kind of a thing across every game that you ever make. They are awful to start with. and that's why you've got to keep playtesting, keep getting other people to test and things like that. And it kind of came down to, we had pretty much all of the pieces there, but seemingly not quite in the right order. And we did a play test in a pub, if you can remember such things, with two friends of mine, Henry and Dave, and they're both very experienced gamers as well, and they savaged it, absolutely savaged it. And Mike and I kind of came back to the flat and went, oh, okay, well, we can fix that problem with this, and we can fix that problem with this. And from that savaging, got the game that we've got to now, and it's infinitely, it's a really fun game, and that has come down to, I wouldn't say technical issues, but just constantly trying to refine and finding people to try and break it and things like that.
Well, I know playtesting. I know as a player, playtesting is absolutely vital, isn't it? So, is that where you normally find your playtesters? Is amongst groups of friends?
Yes, although I mean, in the first instances, yes, because we've got some, as I've been playing for a while, I've got plenty of friends who are quite into games, and they will be brutally honest with their opinion, and that's what we want. Is this is terrible? Okay, how do we fix that? And through some of the kind of communities that we both are involved with, I've got playtesters coming in from there. We've got a playtest this Saturday for the new game with people from your channel, but also we got when we were starting to promote this, we got some like late stage playtesters in that we pretty much got everything sorted, but we built it digitally on Tabletop Simulator, and we had some Masonic groups that were really interested in. Did some Twitch plays and other bits and pieces of the game in a digital form before we'd even got to the printers up and running.
Excellent. Well, I'm mad keen to start diving into it because I was a Mason myself. I mean, I'm going back probably nearly 20 years now. I was a Mason for a few years over in Bristol. Whitchurch Lodge number 6942, I can tell you.
Yeah, Mike, as Mike says, that you they always remember your mother lodge's number.
Yeah. Same as the registration of your first car, I suppose. So, I mean, the artwork's absolutely brilliant, and it's beautifully designed. But I noticed that the artwork on mine is different to what you've got in your background.
You've actually got one of the Kickstarter copies. Yeah, I think there's a little bit of a delay, but I can hear you.
Yeah, okay.
You have one of the Kickstarter wrapped copies. So for the Kickstarter once produced, we decided to do a special sort of Kickstarter sleeve. So what you can see on there is the sleeve itself. So once you've taken that off, you'll see the box is very identical, obviously, to the one behind me. And on the sleeve, you can see tokens, and on the edges, you'll see that it's embossed, not embossed, sorry, spot laminated with the Kickstarter logo. And then on the back, there is 3 sort of rosette areas. And for the Kickstarter backers, one thing that we do, and we will do with all of our games, sort of from this going forward, is we put a wax seal on, and so for the on the square, it'll have a deep red wax seal, and signed, and then for any games coming forward, the wax seal would kind of match the idea going on. So we've got this other game that we're looking at, the sort of futuristic cyberpunky, and we'll do a sort of fluorescent pink wax seal or something along those lines.
Brilliant, absolutely beautiful. So I'm actually going to start digging into it then, very carefully, because I don't wish to do any damage to any of this. There we go. I mean, this is a proper unboxing when you have to remove the cellophane. There we go. So yeah, so there we go. Yes, the sleeve to one side then. Pop that up there, and yes, so you have the box the same as yours. And yes, there's your Kickstarter logo. So it's 20 to 45 minutes play, it says. Is that and
yeah. Sorry, is
no,
that?
No, that's okay. No, sorry. Yes, I was going to say, is that kind of quite strict, or is it a timed game?
No. No. It's not timed. It's a bit of a variation. This is the sort of the average of all the sort of the play tests and things that we've done to go through. It's a set collection game, but there is some strategy within it as well. So depending how you play, can sort of change the amount of time it takes.
Excellent. And I notice it says ages 14 and up. Is that due to the complexity of the rules? Is there a bit of naughty language?
No, it's it's actually because if you produce anything for under 14s, you have to hit very strict standards for children's sort of safety and things. And while sort of anyone of sort of 6 up can play this quite happily, we can't afford a lawsuit if a child swallows one of the pieces.
Indeed, and you do get a choking hazard on there. Yes, quite right.
Of course.
Too. So fantastic.
I think a 0 to 3 sad onions, I think, as well.
Sad onion, yes, sad onion. Fantastic. So opening the box, then here we are. So we've got some beautiful artwork on the cards here. So I'm guessing, just from looking at this, I can see Summoners and Grand Lodge. Now, feel free to shout at me or tell me off for this. Instantly, that puts me in mind of almost like a community chest type set of cards, is it? Without knowing any of the rules whatsoever on this.
It has. There are some similar. Yes, there are some similarities in that, and the reason for it. So this is at its core, it is a roll and move, which is the same as Monopoly and other things like that. And the reason for that is that set of mechanics is very understandable to people that aren't heavy gamers. So, and a majority of Masons are that bit older. I think the average age of quite a lot of lodges is in the 60s, and so we weren't going to develop a game that's they wouldn't play Gloomhaven or anything with really sort of complex rules. So what we wanted to do is try and find a nice easy way for them to come in. However, roller moves are inherently terrible, and so we didn't want to produce a terrible game. So what we've done is, whereas a roller move you'd be used to using 2d6s, so 6-sided dice, the standard cube that everyone's used to, but when you roll 2 dice, there's one very important thing you can't do, and that's roll a 1. So it means that if you're in a position, you can't go to the next square. It's not going to happen. So you could end up going round and round the board ad nauseum, and that's why people hate Monopoly, because it can take hours for nothing to happen, just because you're going around waiting to land on a particular spot. So what we did is we took the D6s out, and we put in, as other RPGers will be more familiar with, is a D12, and the D12 gives you the possibility to roll a 1. But also, one of the items that you collect as you go around the board are gavels, which will be a little token with the hammer on them, and you can spend up to 3 of those to change your roll on your go. So, for example, if you wanted to get somewhere that was 6 spots away and you rolled a 3, you could spend 3 gavels and move to that 6th spot.
Right.
Or you could, if you wanted to get to a 7 away and you rolled a 6, you could spend 1 and get to there. So it means that on your go, as long as you have gavels, you have the possibility of -3 to +15 and have some flexibility in how that works. So you're not just at the mercy of a dice roll. The other thing that we've done to kind of change it up is you'll see the checkerboard when you get to the board, and you kind of see it a little bit behind me, is the idea of the carpet in the middle of the room, which I think probably if you move to one side, you'll also see a checkerboard carpet in the image behind you. And
yes, it's there.
So,
yes.
So the board itself is laid out like the lodge behind you, and there are certain squares called on the square, which is linking with the game, that you can step onto the carpet and move yourself around using the dice roll. So it means that if you've bypassed something and you really need to get back to that square, rather than go all the way around, you can step onto the carpet and square your way back to get to that position. So again, it actively brings in player participation rather than just essentially the dice playing the game for you. So that's the sort of similarity and differences. And yes, we've got the summonses and the Grand Lodge, and they're there to be helpful. There's nothing particularly punishing in there. The idea is that these seats that you land on are senior members, and they will help you along in various ways. The other thing that's slightly different is you've also got a visitor's square, or a couple of visitor squares, and the visitors have a visitor's dice, which again on your t-shirt has a d20.
Yes.
And the idea of that is that visitors to the lodge are that apparently they end up filling in and doing bits and pieces, so they're always there to help you along. So what we've got is this visitor space that you land on. You roll the d20, and in the visitors book, which also doubles as our thank you to our Kickstarters and anybody else that sort of helped us and had their names in there, there's the visitors book, and depending on what you rolled, they give you some help in some way. So it might be another gavel, it might move you to a certain spot, that kind of.
Right. Excellent. So, I mean, I know I commented on the artwork of the box, but the artwork inside is absolutely beautiful as well. Now, as an ex-Mason, of course, there's a lot of imagery here that I understand, that I recognise instantly. What about for a non-Mason coming into the game? Someone who doesn't know the history and doesn't perhaps know what a junior warden is or what a degree is. Is it more difficult for them?
And that, in a sense, as far as the game, no, not at all. It doesn't matter that you don't have a background. The game plays whether you know and have been in masonry for 20 years or you've never even spoken to a mason. As far as the game goes itself and the places, that becomes a collection mechanic. So as you travel around the board, you are needing to collect the portraits of lodge members in their particular order, and the order is laid out on the player boards, and you collect the degree rosettes, and they are also laid out on your player board. So you don't need to know anything about it, but there is little bits hidden in there for people that do know. And in fact, one of the things that Mike had said early on, and it was a really nice idea, is that because masonry is sort of aging, this is the sort of thing that a grandfather could play with their grandson, and kind of this is what granddad does on a weekend, or sort of how he and they it just sort of they can play the game as the game, or they can play it as a teaching tool. In fact, we've given set, multiple sets of these to a few of the Masonic-run care homes in the UK, and to some other ones in the States, so these old boys that have sort of mobility issues can still feel a part of what they love doing, and they clearly loved it enough to end up in a sort of a home run by Masons, and we thought this was a nice idea that means that they could still do bits and pieces on there. So it's been received really well. We're hoping to get some video of people playing it. It's just been, obviously, with current regulations, a little bit more difficult, and obviously care homes are in a very strict set of kind of procedures at the moment.
That's absolutely beautiful. So, is it worth? Do you always use the same artist for your work on games? Because it is quite stylized, isn't it? Almost a comic book feel to it. I'm thinking, what's it called? League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, almost, in the style of artwork.
We use different teams for different things. This was a lovely pair of ladies who, and we'll put a link to their company in there, because I can't remember the exact. Fresh Tea was the company, and they did a phenomenal job, and then designed this. And we actually had a Kickstarter, a backer who backed a specialist set just for a lodge that he was creating with some additional artwork, and they did that as well. So we've got this kind of take through, but they were perfect for this job, and we will definitely use them again on other ones. But we do try and give different people. We like to sort of spread the love, as I suppose, as it were, and look at who else is, if the next game, as I said, we've got more, it's going to have more of a cyberpunk vibe, and so we'll look for an artist that has a portfolio more focused towards sort of grimy and neon, which wouldn't have been correct for this, but their artwork was fantastic. And obviously we took inspiration from the Grand Lodge in central London, in Holborn. So the cartouches around the board are our representations of those cartouches. I love the artwork, and we tried to give a sort of sort of Victoriana type feel to it. The idea is this lodge is in the mid 1800s, and so it's sort of try and give that sort of richness in the golds and sort of the Victorian feel, which I think matches really well with the imagery that you have behind you. It really shows how it's the kind of the rich mahoganies and then the gold and the splashes of bright colour, say the turquoise and things, just in certain areas.
Absolutely. And so is the objective of the game to make it all the way from initiate through to worshipful master?
It's the idea is that you're helping set up the lodge. So what you're doing is you're greeting each of the sort of the senior members in order, from the junior warden, junior deacon, all the way up to the worshipful master, and there are candidates, and candidates are actually a mechanic in itself, in that when you are escorting the candidate around, you get to move twice. So you don't double your dice rolls. You roll the dice and you move the numbers associated, and then you get to move again because you are guiding the candidate round. And the candidate stays with you until you get to the tiler, and then the tiler at the door takes the candidate off you.
Yes. Excellent.
But you can avoid the tiler by crossing the carpet, so you're not going to the door. A little pro tip for you.
Excellent. And the tiler presumably hoodwinks. There's I mean, it's one of the things that I absolutely loved about Freemasonry was there's so many phrases that we use in everyday life. Being on the square, obviously being one of them, but phrases like hoodwinked, of course, comes from Freemasonry. Did you incorporate a lot of that into the game?
Obviously, Mike's more the one for that. He's knowledgeable on these things infinitely more than I am. I do know certain things like there are some sort of knocks associated with the doors and the passing, and that's why our the gavels are, you can spend them in threes. So it's a little nod to types of knocks and bits and pieces, that sort of thing, and like you can only go in straight lines along the carpet. You can't go diagonally. What was the term Mike used? You have to square the board. So you can only go in straight lines. You can't diagonal cut across anything.
Excellent.
So yeah, little things that mean more to Masons, but just make the game kind of what it is.
Indeed, and so the rule, there's not much to the rules, and I really like that in a game because I'm a very simple person. So it does look straightforward. I'll be digesting that later. So these are the player cards, are they? That you track your progress with.
I'm going
that's
to
from
say
glancing at the rule book and seeing them around the edge.
Yeah. So I can't quite see what it is you're seeing, but
sorry.
Yeah, the player the player boards have the coloured edges. So and they match with the little people, and obviously they also match with the ties or the cravats that each of the players are playing as. And so as you go round, you collect them all in order. You can pick up the rosettes that go onto the aprons in the middle of the board, and the gavels are on the bottom. And then the idea is to have gone round, met everybody, picked up your degree tokens, picked up your regalia, as it were, and then get back to your seat.
Excellent. And I'm just showing on the camera the tokens now for Worshipful Master, Senior Warden, Inner Guard, Junior Deacon, Junior Warden. I mean, just absolutely, lovely. And I like how the hair colour matches the tie or the cravat as well. That's a lovely touch, and for the candidates,
we tried to have a little. I mean, we were obviously they're all of a similarly Caucasian, but obviously that was more to do with the stylistically of the Victorian era. But we wanted to give them something each a little different, so they've all got different hair, mustaches, bits and pieces like that. So they're and we also produced as a little extra some physical playing pieces to sort of upgrade. I don't know. This is I don't know if we can see.
Looks like a little bust.
So these are and so they're individual busts of each of the characters in the right colour with the right facial features, mustaches, hair, that sort of thing. Maybe a darker one is easier to see.
So are those additional pieces that people can get through the website?
Yes. They were also so they're additional ones for people on the website, and some of our the earliest backers and the play testers, we sort of use those as a little thank you as well. These are all they're all hand finished. We don't mass produce these. We have a small 3D printer that we print these ourselves, hand finish them, sand them, and then lacquer them. So it's not something that we are mass doing. It's just for the people on the website and for people in particular, like special people that we produce these for as well.
Excellent. So I've had a question from Michael. He's here, asking me which lodge I'm sat in. I don't know, is the honest answer. I pulled an image off in the internet for this, but I thought it was quite a stylised and normal looking one. But yeah, thanks for joining us, Michael. So I mean, this is just absolutely. I'm blown away by this. I really am. It's such, and it feels very high quality. Just sort of handling it.
That's it's one of the things that we've heard the most, and always as a compliment. But it's like from friends of ours that have sort of backed it and got copies, and they were just. It's generally variations on the. I don't mean this in a bad way, but this feels like a real thing. I'm like, yeah, we really try.
Well, I'm thinking of board games that I have purchased, in shops online, that come and they feel flimsy. It's not. I mean, obviously this is a very real thing. So I was thinking more that this is a quality product rather than something that's not.
Yeah, and that came from. As I said, I love playing games, and I didn't want to put out anything that I wouldn't want to buy, and so I was very clear that having the background in architecture and dealing with cards and bits and physical card and paper and things in my day job, I had a pretty good idea of how weights worked in cards. So when we were given options, it was like no, we have to have at least 350 GSM, otherwise that's nothing below that. Just we really need to have the quality, and we got a test copy from the factory, and all the artwork was great, it was all good, but there were certain things that were just no, these are too thin. And we just cranked it up because we didn't want to have something that we thought, have they skimped on this? No. We didn't make any money. Every single penny that we got from Kickstarter went back into getting the best print that we could possibly manage.
Excellent. Well, it shows, and it's obviously paid off. That level of detail going into it, so absolute kudos on that. I'm going to ask you a question about the designing of the game in relation to Freemasonry now, because while Freemasonry, going back to when I was in it, they always said we're not a secret society, we're a society with secrets. Did you find you ran into any issues in wanting to produce a game about Freemasonry with? Are there any secrets in here? That's a good question. You'd have to know the answer to know if there are, I guess. No, we had a little. Mike took this to his province and asked them, and we had nothing but support from everybody that he showed the prototypes to and things like that. We had mates from other jurisdictions in the States and Hong Kong, and they absolutely loved it. Central London were a little more hesitant, but there is nothing in there that that you won't find going to the first page of UGLE's website. And in fact, this is actually now available in the UGLE's shop in Great Queen Street. So no, there's no issues, and there's nothing detrimental from this. The UGLE, for anybody listening not familiar with masonry, is it the Ultra Grand Lodge of England? It's not. It's not Ultra. I forgot what the U stands for.
I think isn't it Universal?
Might be Universal. Yes. Ultra's good though.
Yeah.
should be
United
Grand Lodge.
United
of
Grand Lodge of England.
Well, yes, that's it. Well, this is absolutely beautiful, and I can't wait till we till lockdown ends and we start seeing people, and I can get people around to have a game. This is going to be top of the list. Absolutely. So thank you so much for.
No, look forward to it. It's been. I said it went from something that we were just doing as a bit of a laugh to having those moments of, oh, we have a company that we can ship stuff globally now, and we have an account with them, and oh, we've now got a company that we do money transfers so that we can pay people in dollars. Oh, that's a thing, and oh, we have a limited company now, and it's just every step of the way has just been this like, oh yeah, this is becoming a thing.
Well, speaking of which, you've mentioned a couple of times. Obviously, you're working on a new project at the moment, which sounds, very different from On the Square, by the sound of it. Well, in fact, you've got two projects, haven't you? One's closer than the other. So, what can people expect next from yourselves?
Well, we've just finished two smaller projects, which were sort of tied into On the Square, in that they were also sort of Masonic themed. But while playing this, it was sort of mentioned, oh, this would be an interesting deck of cards. And so we kind of took that and have reimagined some decks of cards. So instead of the standard suits of clubs, hearts, spades, etc., we've used Masonic orders. And again, we've used people that we know, and your good self, obviously, have your likeness. And we have two decks of cards that are both being funded on Kickstarter, and we're just waiting for the factories to reopen in Europe. We've got a family-owned Italian playing card manufacturer that's been going for 100 years, I think, and we're just waiting for them to reopen so that we can actually get these cards printed and out to our backers. So that's the next immediate thing. But we are very close to releasing our next game, which is called Reluctant Hero, which, as I mentioned before, is a cyberpunk-themed card game. The concept behind it is superheroes or augmented sort of heroes trying to do as little as possible. They are sat in a bar trying to make everybody else do their jobs for them without it becoming obvious to the management that they aren't doing anything. Yes, that's very close to finishing. We have one of our final test runs this weekend with our six. It's a 2 to 6 player game, so we're going to have ideally 6 players on the weekend doing a final sort of break. We think we find out all of the issues, but I'm sure we'll find some more. And it's currently having artwork done on it, and we have a little. We're also joined with Foxy Lockhart, who is another streamer that obviously I know you know, has done a little interview on that, and the bar that these heroes are sat in is named in his honour, called the Foxy Lockhart, and we are working on some artwork and bits and pieces, and using his logo and revamping it to fit within the world that we've created. So I'm very excited about that. Where On the Square was Mike's kind of brainchild, and his drive, and I mean both of us together, but the kernel of the idea for On the Square was Mike, and the kernel of the idea for Reluctant Hero is mine. But obviously we both put a huge amount of time into this, and a lovely lady that we work with called Karen, who helps us with our social and bits and pieces. But yeah, it's very exciting. I'm very much looking forward to Reluctant Hero.
Absolutely fantastic. I mean, it sounds amazing. So can people find details for all these games at matthewandmichael.co.uk?
Yes, so the playing cards are up on the the website, and they can be pre-ordered there as well if you missed the Kickstarter. Reluctant Hero, we have some teaser videos that we've done, and I think you can get the notification for when the Kickstarter page is going to go live as a sort of a preempt. But as I said, if you look in the Discord below, our Matthew and Michael Discord, if you are really jazzed by the idea and you want to test it before we even get to Kickstarter, we are always happy to get people to come and play. So join our Discord and we can set up playtests. We can do digital playtests of On the Square if you're interested as well. We've still got we've got that made in a digital platform. So even before kind of COVID breaks down, or if you're in the States or Australia, etc., we can have a game with you. We've had various games with people that got quite into it from America and did playtests with them. It's just getting the time zone right is the only issue there.
Yeah, indeed. Well, this is absolutely fantastic, and hopefully we can do a future one of these with the next release. That would be absolutely
most certainly.
And I've just realised
when the no.
Yeah, I just realised. Yeah, sorry. Go on.
When we have the cards printed, obviously we'll send them in. You can have display your likeness for the world to see.
Oh, wonderful, wonderful! I'm so looking for. Hopefully, they've been flattering. That's all I can say.
Of course.
I did just realise that Michael in the chat is, of course, Michael from matthewandmichael.co.uk.
I think he might be, actually. I've just seen a thing saying vast factory run by elves, and that's very much a Michael suggestion of how our enterprise works.
Yeah. And he's absolutely right when he says that On the Square is indeed a perfect gift for Father's Day or Mother's Day coming up this Sunday. Or get your mum involved. Yeah. Why not? Give her a chance to peek behind the curtain. Fantastic. Well, thank you so much for coming on and talking about this, Matt. And I'm so glad we got there eventually. Yeah. This has been absolutely brilliant. And so remember, folks,
it's lovely to be here.
If you've got any questions, any thoughts, you want to find out more information, it's matthewandmichael.co.uk. I'm getting that the right way round, aren't I?
Yeah.
Good. Matthew and Michael.
I say it's the most important person first. Mike says it's the other way around, but yes, it's Matthew and Michael.
Fantastic. But like I said, there'll be a link below in the YouTube video. Right. In the meantime, it's been lovely talking to you, Matt. And I will. I'll be seeing some of the audience members later on for Star Trek Bridge Crew at 9:30 GMT, and of course Star Trek Sunday at 4 PM. This week we're talking about Catherine Janeway. Any particular request from you, Matt, as to an episode for me to review, a Voyager episode?
Well, I guess the one that springs to mind is Message in a Bottle, which is obviously where Romulans take over the ship, and that springs to mind because obviously you are a fantastic DM of a Star Trek Adventures stream every other Wednesday, which I'm fortunate enough to play in, and obviously we're in a ship surrounded by Romulans, which is why I think that jumps to mind at the moment.
So hopefully getting some tips. We shall see. I have watched Message in a Bottle very, very recently, in fact. Wonderful. Okay, well, do join us for all that.
Anything that focuses on the EMH to start with is always good.
Oh, brilliantly played by Robert Picardo. Less so by Andy Dick, but there you go. Which is the Message in a Bottle episode. But right, fantastic. On that note, thanks again for coming on and talking about this, and we'll see everyone in the Discord.
Always a pleasure, Stu.
Link below. All right, take care.
See you later.
Bye.